Alright, so to get started today, our project is going to be this super fun 19-inch either decoration, or this is going to go on a 20-inch wheelchair spoke. And I do have a video linked down below on how you can make this hoop that is really flexible to pop into your wheelchair, or you can go ahead and bring a 19-inch steel craft ring or hoop to the party. This is absolutely beautiful. It has a real nice 3D texture to it, and that is because of the yarn that we use today. So let's go ahead and take a look at all the items that we're going to need to make 2 of these. All right, so to get started with this project, we are going to need quite a bit of utensils. This is a super fun project, and I'm so excited that you're going to do this with me, guys. To get started, you are going to need to make, and I will pop a video down below on how to make my 19-inch flexible hoops for the wheelchairs. Either that, or you are actually with your PVC pipe. This is a 1/4 inch PVC tube, and we use 57.5 inches of that per wheel, or you can use a 19-inch steel hoop from any craft store. You're also going to need 2 2-inch steel rings to get your turkey started with. I attach, which I will post the video down below on how to attach these when you're all said and done, with 1-inch binder rings, so you'll need 8 of those. You're going to need 4 googly eyes that are 10 or 12 millimeters, okay? And then you are going to need 1/8 inch barb connectors, which these are PVC ones. They're 1/8 inch. I will, remember, link in the comments down below all the items that you're going to need, but you're going to need 2 of those. You're going to need both a 5 millimeter and a 6 millimeter hook. For some of the brown rounds, we are going to be using a 6 millimeter hook, and I will explain why later. And we are also going to need a darning needle, a set of scissors. I highly recommend a row counter. Now, because my brown is a little bit different of a yarn than the other 3, that is why we're going to be using a 6 millimeter on some of our rows of brown. This is Hobby Lobby's. I love this brown, or I love this yarn in brown. And then I have Red Heart in pale yellow. These both were scrap. And then I have Mainstays by Walmart, just their pumpkin orange and their basic red. And that is what we're going to need to get started with this. I will note down below when you need to swap out to the 6 millimeter. If you were to go out and buy all Red Heart or all Walmart or all of the Hobby Lobby yarn, I would recommend the Hobby Lobby yarn sticking with your 6 millimeter. But if you are going to pick all Red Heart or Mainstays, you'll just stick with the 5 millimeter. But because my brown is a much smaller worsted weight yarn, I am going to go up in hook size for a couple of the rows, and I will list that down below. If you have any comments on why I've swapped out yarn, it really is just because this is a much shinier brown. It has a little bit different of a texture, and it really assists those feathers to give them like a real 3D look. And so I like this yarn a lot better than the brown that came with Red Heart or Mainstays as an option. And so to adjust for the thinner worsted weight yarn here, I did go up in hook size for a few of my rows so that it laid flat. However, that is all the materials you're going to need for this. Again, for your PVC pipe, I will link down below, and you need super glue for that, which I forgot to grab. I will link down below the video for you on how to make your PVC tubes for your wheelchair wheels. But outside of that, let's go ahead and get started. All of the yardage that you're going to need for your I Love This Yarn, your Red Heart, and your Mainstays colors is going to be down below in the comments, as well as your color changes, your stitch counts, and your timestamps for this video. Alrighty, we are going to get started with our brown yarn and our 5 millimeter hook. I'm going to make a note on this. The brown yarn I'm using by Hobby Lobby, please, all Hobby Lobby comments will be deleted. It is I Love This Yarn. I had it in scrap, and it does take a much smaller hook, even though it's a number 4 worsted weight yarn, than Red Heart or Walmart's Mainstays brand. And so if you are going to be using this yarn or a thinner brown like I am, then you will be swapping out hooks to your 6 millimeter for some of our rows. If you're going to use all Mainstays, all Red Heart, all the same number 4 waisted worsted weight yarn, you don't need to swap out yarns. The only reason that I'm doing this is because this brown does require a smaller hook in recommendation, and it did play out in the overall pattern and the end result. So we are going to be making a slip knot there, and we're going to go ahead and chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I do have my 5mm hook here. I feel like somebody asked that. Now go ahead and make a ring by slip stitching to that first ring. And this is a pretty intricate pattern, so I'm not going to go over how you do basic stitches for this pattern because this is a more intermediate advanced pattern. But so we're going to do that. So go ahead and chain 1, and I want you to put 15 double crochets in this ring, okay? So go ahead and do that on your own. Moving into row 2 of the turkey phase, I've got my 15 double crochets. I am going to be slip stitching into the top of my first double crochet, and we're going to chain 1. And just like any beanie, now we're going to increase by 2. We're going to place 2 double crochets back into that same stitch and all the way around. So at the end of the next round, you're going to have 30 double crochets. So go ahead and complete that by yourself. All right, moving into round 3 of the turkey's face. I've got my 30 double crochets here. I'm going to slip stitch to the top of that first double crochet and chain 1. Now we're going to be placing 1 double crochet back into that stitch. Don't split your yarn like me. And into the next stitch, you're going to place 2. And you're going to repeat that all the way around. So that at the end of this, you have 45. So again, this is a pretty simple increase. So we're going to go 1 double crochet and then 2 double crochets. And that's all your repeat is. So go ahead and repeat that all the way around, placing 1 double crochet in a stitch followed by 2 double crochets for 45 at the end of this round, and you are going to fasten off. Okay, so I've come to the end of my round 3 for the turkey's face, and I'm going to slip stitch into the top of that double crochet, and I'm going to slip stitch 1 more time just for security reasons, and I am going to fasten off about 5 to 6 inches like normal, and I'm going to pull all the way through. Now you can set this off to the side. I recommend weaving in your tails, and I typically weave in my first tail all the way around in that circle and pull it really nicely tight, and then I will push this to the back with a darning needle and weave this in. And we are going to attach this with yellow, so you don't need any more brown for this. Go ahead and set it aside. All right, so we're going to be moving into the gobble, and go ahead and get a slip knot on your hook and chain 7. 5, 6, 7. Now flip it over, and we're going to work into these back bumps, and make sure that you're in the 5th one from where you started. So that should be 2 from your hook. And you're going to place 4 single crochets. So 1 into the back bumps, and then 2, and then 3, and 4 into this second to the last bump here. All right, a second. Then into this very last back bump, you're going to be working 2 single crochets. You're going to work quite a bit of stitches into this back bump. So do 2 single crochets, 1 and 2. Place a half double crochet, and make sure you're working into the back bump, or you'll get a really big hole. So half double crochet, pull it nice and tight, then place a double crochet, and I am going to kind of work over this tail. Then you're going to place a half double crochet back into that same space. It's going to be real tight here. Pull your yarn real nice and tight. And then you're going to place 2 single crochets back into that same space. So super tight. Make sure that you started in that bump, not the side of the chain, or you're going to have a huge hole. So 1 single crochet. And you notice my hook just kind of goes back into that space since we have so many stitches. And then 2 single crochets. So in that back bump, you're going to have 2 single crochets, a half double, a double, a half double, and then 2 singles, okay? Then we are going to skip this kind of hidden stitch right here, and we're going to place into the next one that's more visible. We're going to start and we're going to place 3 slip stitches all the way down. So 1, 2, and 3, okay? And then you're going to fasten off with like 8 to 10 inches because you're going to use this yarn to slip stitch and attach to the brown face round that we made, okay? So go ahead and give yourself enough room to sew it. All right, so you can see that I have my brown circle again, his face. And what we're going to do is take our really long tail that we fastened off on our smaller side of the gobble. And what I do is I take my hook and I come through that middle little piece right there. Okay, and then you're going to insert your hook in the side here and then come down here, and where I fastened off my brown from weaving in my tail is where I'm going to attach this. So go ahead and make sure it's on the right side, and you can see where all my stitches are kind of funny, and I'm going to make sure that this is flipped so that the gobble is hanging off, and I'm going to slip stitch over top of those 2 little slip stitches that I made with brown. So overhead the camera there. We're going to go ahead, and this does get kind of tricky. You're going to go ahead and slip stitch 1. Okay. Now go into the next spot that we slip stitched. And this is going to kind of flip. And you're going to go into the top of our very last single crochet. You're going to grab that hook or that tail and complete your slip stitch, okay? And then I'm going to pull this loop. Oh, that looks kind of messy. But I think that turkeys are kind of messy, aren't they? And so now I'm going to pull through that loop. Just like that. And if you find a better way to attach this, you can. I like my gobble to be raised though. So then we're gonna come into this stitch right here. You can see where I put my needle. And we're gonna go back through the brown and come out the back of that stitch. Okay. And then you can kind of just sew this red in however you want. I'm gonna go like this. And you're going to weave in ends as normal with the red. We're not going to use the red to attach the brown in any capacity. So however you want to finish off weaving in your ends, I always use an extra long tail to attach things like this. So you might want to extend him. There you go, like that. And I'm going to weave in through down here with both of these tails, and I'll probably knot these 2 together. Okay. All right, so I've already got my orange attached for our beak. We're going to chain 3. Don't make it super tight here. For some reason, mine got really tight there for a second. So chain 3. And then we're actually going to do a foundation. We're going to do 2 foundation single crochets. So what you're going to go do is actually pop into this little back bump here of the very first chain. You're gonna pull up your loop, so you'll have 2 on there, and make them about the same size. Yarn over and pull through one of them. Now I typically move my hook and kind of twist it so these 2 are the same, because now you're going to yarn over and pull through both of those. Okay, now we're going to flip this over and you're going to see that this is kind of twisted here. We're going to go into both of those little spaces, okay, like that. So you should have 3 loops on your hook. Pull up your loop through 2 of them. So you're going to have 2 loops on your hook. Kind of give it a little leeway so they're the same size. Yarn over and pull through 1. Make them the same size. Yarn over and pull through 2. Okay. Now you're going to chain 1, and you should have 2 foundation single crochets right here. So 1, 2. Place 2 single crochets in each of those stitches. So 1, oops, sorry for hitting the camera. 1 and 2. And I go into the top of this next one. I'm going to place 1 and 2. Okay. Now what I do with this tail here, this short one, is I pull it nice and tight. And then later, we'll use that tail to fix these holes when we attach him to this beak to our head, okay? So chain 1, and now you're going to place 2 single crochets in this first stitch. So 1, 2. Place 2 single crochets. 1 and 2. And in the last stitch, you're going to place 2 single crochets. 1 and 2. Okay, and chain 1, and you're going to place 2 single crochets in the first one. 1, 2. Place 4 single crochets across. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And in your last stitch, you're going to place 2 single crochets. 1 and 2. Okay. And now you're going to fasten off for this, and you're actually done with orange and red now. So go ahead and fasten off a nice long tail so we can sew him to the face. Alright, so I've got all my bits here. I've even got my super glue and my little googly eyes, and what we're going to do is take this beak, and I usually take the tail and I deal with that first. The short tail that we started with. Okay. And what you're going to do is take this tail, and I would weave it up through this little bump here and through this side here, okay, and pull it. And then if you go into this base stitch here and then through there, through these 2 stitches over here, you should be able to close this hole up, okay, with just this tail. If I pull it, see how it's going to make that hole nice and tight? And then I'm going to push it to the back, okay, and that way I can deal with it later and use it on this. So go ahead and attach your darning needle to your longer tail here, okay, and what I recommend, and I'm going to zoom out a little bit, so sorry for the background, but we are going to place this kind of offset and to the right, okay, so maybe cover up your little hole there and take your darning needle and go through that center hole. Now, if you're like me, you weaved in your brown tail so that it'd be nice and tight. Okay, so now I'm going to come up through the first stitch actually. Okay, pull. Then I'm going to go into the second one, both loops, and I'm just going to sew like normal. This is an intermediate pattern, so you've probably sewn many times, so go ahead and attach it as desired. And then I've already pulled my paper off of my googly eyes, and I'm going to take my super glue and I'm going to put just a touch of super glue on this. Okay. And all I'm going to do is attach my googly eyes as I want. So one there, and I'm going to have him kind of lopsided, I think, today, this guy. Oh, see my googly eye picked up. A little bit of glue on there. You don't need a lot because the super glue will stick real easy to your yarn. So there we go. And I'll finish sewing his little nose on. And then we're going to slip stitch with yellow all the way around the circle. Alright, so when it's all said and done, you should have all your stuff sewn in here. And go ahead and set this guy off to the side. And after row 20, we are going to attach him using the yellow. Okie dokie, moving into row 1 or round 1 for our main portion of this, the actual spoke cover. I've already slip knotted to my hook, and you can go check back out how to do that in row 1 for the turkey's face. So going in the middle and out the back of the ring, I'm going to be pulling up my loop and slip stitching through that original loop. And I'm going to chain 1. And now what you're going to do is actually place 36 double crochets in this ring. So I'm going to yarn over. I'm going to come in front of my ring and out the back. Okay, kind of slip it around there. Pull up your loop. Oops, the first one's always the most difficult. Now you're going to yarn over and pull through 2 just like a normal double crochet. And I usually tighten. And then I yarn over and go through 2 again. So do that again. Yarn over, come in the front of the ring, in the middle and out the back. You're going to pull up your loop. The first few are the hardest. I promise it gets easier the more that are on here. So now you're going to yarn over and pull through 2. Yarn over and pull through 2. So go ahead and complete 36 of these total, and I'll see you at the end. Moving into row 2, and at the beginning of every round, I will show you how to join the previous round. So for this one, we're going to actually pop our hook into the top of the very first double crochet. Yarn over, and you're going to make a slip stitch there. Okay. Now, you should have 36 double crochets around the ring, and later on you can take this tail and weave it around this and kind of hide it. So to get this row started, we're going to chain 1, and you're always going to chain 1 before you start your repeats with me. You're going to yarn over and place a double crochet back in that same stitch. We're going to go into the next stitch with a double crochet. And into the next stitch is going to be 2 double crochets. So 1, 2. And that's all your repeat is. So we're increasing. You're going to go into the next one, the next 2 with 1 double crochet. So 1, this is going to be our second stitch with 1 double crochet. And then the third stitch will have 2 double crochets. So repeat that all the way around. And you're going to have 48 double crochets at the end of this round. And at some point I'll stop telling you stitch counts. That's just kind of my norm. But they'll always be down in the comments for you. All right, we're going to be moving into row 3, and we are going to be slip stitching into the top of that first double crochet to close our previous round. And we're going to chain 1 as always. And now in this same stitch, you're actually going to be placing 2 double crochets, a chain, and 2 more double crochets, okay? So yarn over, go back into the same stitch, and place 2 double crochets. 1, 2. Chain 1. Now put 2 more double crochets back into that same stitch. So 1 for a total of 4. 2. And now we're going to skip 2 stitches. So yarn over, skip 1, 2, and go into the next one and do that again. So 2 double crochets, a chain 1 and 2 double crochets. Okay, you're going to repeat that all the way around, and you should have 16 of these when you're done. So you're going to skip 2 and you'll start in that 3rd stitch, and I'll meet you for the next row. Moving into row 4, we are going to be slip stitching into both of these double crochets. So slip stitch into the first one and slip stitch into the second one. Okay, and now you're going to fasten off with your tail, you know, 5 to 6 inches like normal, and you're going to be switching to yellow. All right, so I've got my yellow, and what I'm going to be doing is placing that yellow around the hook, and I'm going to place my hook in the chain space. Go ahead and make sure your tail is, where's it at? Crossed over top of your yarn. You're going to pull your hook through, and you're going to slip stitch through. And it might be a little tight because your tail is twisted back there, but you're going to slip stitch through the yellow loop and the brown one. Okay, and now what I do is flip my work back, and I go ahead and knot it, because these are like just decorations for your wall, or they're going to go on your wheelchair. So go ahead and tighten, you know, double knot here, and then you can weave in those tails later. Okay, so I double knot it, and some people don't do that, but I don't. It doesn't bother me. So now we're going to chain 1, and you're going to do the same, almost the same exact thing in this row, but in this chain space, you're going to place 2 double crochets. So 1, 2, you're going to chain 2 and place 2 more double crochets in that same chain space. 1 and 2. And we're going to do that again in every chain space all the way around. So let's do it one more time together. We're going to place 2 double crochets. We're going to chain 2. Oops. Sorry about that. Chain 2. And place 2 more double crochets in that same chain space. So you're going to repeat this 14 more times all the way around. The only difference is this time you're chaining 2 in between. So I'll meet you for the next round. Moving into row 5, we are going to be slip stitching again 2 times. Just go ahead and pop into that first one, place your slip stitch, pop into the second one and place your slip stitch. And you're going to fasten off with 5 to 6 inches like always. All right, so I've got my orange now, and we're going to be putting that in the front there. Go ahead and go into your chain space and pull your loop through. Go ahead and slip stitch through both of those. Chain 1. Now this row is going to be very, very similar to the last 2, except instead of a chain 2 or a chain 1, you're going to chain 3. So let's go ahead and place 2 double crochets in this chain space. 1 and 2. Oh, and we're going to chain 3. Okay. And place 2 double crochets in that same chain space. So 1 and 2. All right, we're going to do that again in this next chain 2. We're going to place 2 double crochets. 1, oh my gosh, 2. I'm not the biggest fan of this yarn. Chain 3. And then you're going to put 2 double crochets in the chain space too. All right, so that's all this is. Do that all the way around, and I'll meet you for the next round. All right, moving into round 6, we are going to be slip stitching 2 times here with orange, like we have the last few rows. So 1 and 2, and go ahead and fasten off your 5 to 6 inches so you can weave in later. All right, now I've got my red here. I'm going to wrap that around my hook, go into my chain space, I'm going to slip stitch through the chain, the red loop maybe, and the orange loop. All right, and I'm going to chain 1. Now in this chain space, we're going to be placing 3 double crochets, a chain 2, and 3 double crochets. Let's go ahead and place 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to move those so they're tighter. And then we're going to chain 2 this time. Place 3 more double crochets. So 1. Oops, sorry about that. My yarn's getting caught. 2. Oh my gosh. This yarn's a little tough. It creates a little bit more tension. I thought I would just pick up some basic colors and not really worry about the maker, but man, this yarn is difficult to work with. So anyways, we're gonna pop into the next chain space with 3 double crochets for this repeat. So 2 and 3. We're gonna chain 2, and we are going to put 3 double crochets back into that same chain space. So this repeat again is 3 double crochets, a chain 2, and 3 double crochets into each of your chain spaces around. For those of you that are using the same yarns as me, the next round we are going to be using brown with a 6mm. So go ahead and repeat that all the way around, and I'll see you for the next round. All right, moving into round 7 with my 5mm, I am going to be slip stitching 3 times with the red. So 1, 2, and 3. Now I'm going to pull this just a little bit. I'm going to let go of that 5mm hook, and I'm going to fasten off about 5 to 6 inches, and I'm going to switch over to brown. All right, so I've got my 6mm hook because I love this yarn, requires a smaller hook and is a thinner four worsted weight. I don't know why I can't say that, yarn. And I feel like I'm just going to repeat this every time. If you're not going to be switching brands of yarns or having a thinner yarn, regardless of what color, you don't need to change out hooks, but this is a much thinner yarn, so in order to accommodate that, I have gone up in hook size. So I'm going to put that yarn around there. We're going to go into the chain space. There we go. And I'm going to slip stitch through the brown and the red. Okay. We're going to do chain 1 to get started. So this repeat is very similar to all the others. We're going to be putting 3 double crochets in a chain 3 and 3 double crochets. So 2, 3, chain 3, and put 3 more double crochets in there. So 1, 2, and 3. So let's and then we're going to chain 1, and now we're going to skip over to the next chain space and do that again. So 3 double crochets, 1, 2, 3, chain 3, and 3 more double crochets in that same chain space. So 1, 2, and 3, and we're going to chain 1. And then you'll pop into the next chain space. So go ahead and repeat that all the way around. Don't forget your chain space between your clusters, okay? So it's a chain 3 between your double crochet sets and an individual chain between your clusters. So I'll see you for the next round. Alrighty, moving into row 8 with our 6mm hook, we are going to slip stitch 1, 2, and 3 times. Okay, and you can go ahead and fasten off with your brown. I do recommend pulling just a little bit because we're going to swap over to our 5mm hook. All right, so I've flipped our work over to the wrong side and I have attached the yellow with a slip hook or a slip knot. I'm going to go into that chain 3 space from behind, pick up my brown loop, and I'm going to pull a slip stitch through all of that with the yellow. Okay, go ahead and chain 1, and across these next 3 stitches we're going to place front post double crochets. So let's do 1 here. That tail out of the way, I'll weave that in later. 1, 2, and 3 here. We're going to chain 1, and we're going to do that over here. So we're going to place 3 front post double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Now in this chain 3 space, we're going to place 4 double crochets, a chain 3, and 4 more double crochets for a total of 8 double crochets in the chain space. So let's do 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, place 4 more double crochets in that space. I'm going to move this over. 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so there's that. Now let's go ahead and repeat that again together. We're going to do 3 front post double crochets down the side here. So 1, 2, 3, chain 1, pop over here to this next cluster and do 3 front post double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. And in the chain 3 space, we're going to place 4 double crochets, a chain 3, and 4 double crochets. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm going to move over my 4 stitches, chain 3. Now I'm actually going to count all the way up to 8 because that makes it a lot easier so that I don't accidentally skip one of my sides when we have this many numbers. So this is going to be 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay. All right. So that is going to be your repeat. Go ahead and do that all the way around, and I will meet you for the next round. And we're going to pull through on the second time, okay? And you can weave that tail in a little bit. All right, sorry about that interruption. So I've already got my orange yarn, because we're going to be switching to orange for this round, attached to my hook with a slip knot. We're going to go in any one of your chain 3 spaces into that hole. We're staying on the wrong side, and we're going to do a slip stitch there. Okay, go ahead and pull that tail forward and chain 1. Now in this chain 3 space, we are going to place 3 half double crochets, and I am going to crochet over my tail. So 1, 2, and 3. Place a single crochet in that chain space as well, and chain 2. Now I'm going to move my stitches over because we're going to do the opposite. We're going to do a single crochet in that chain space, followed by 3 half double crochets. And it is going to be pretty tight. So 1, 2, and 3. Okay. And now we're going to do 2 double crochets together, but it's going to be an extended decrease here. So yarn over, go behind the first double crochet here, pull up your loop. Go behind the second one, pull up your loop, and this is the extended part. We're going to yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. We're going to do that 6 more times. So yarn over, go behind the first one, pull up your loop. Go behind the second one, pull up your loop, yarn over and pull through 2 3 times. So 1, 2, 3. So let's do that again. Yarn over, go behind the first stitch, go behind the second stitch, pull up your loop, yarn over, pull through 2. It's gonna be super tight here because this is where all my joins are. Now yarn over, your 4th one is actually going to connect your clusters, and it's going to go over that chain space. So go behind the first one and pull up your loop, skip the chain space, skip over to your other cluster, and go behind that first double crochet and pull up your loop. Then you're going to yarn over and go through 2, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go through 2. And you're going to do this 3 more times. So go behind that first one, pull up your loop. Go behind that second one, pull up your loop. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, go behind the first one, ooh, only one, pull up your loop. Go behind the second one, pull up your loop. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And for our 7th time, we're going to go behind that first double crochet, pull up our loop. We're going to go behind our second one, pull up our loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over and pull through 2. And that wraps up our repeat. So let's do it again together. In this chain 3 space, we're going to put 3 half double crochets, 1, 2, and 3. And we're going to put a single crochet in that chain 3 space. You're going to chain 2, move your stitches, place a single crochet, and place 3 half double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Now we're going to do 7 extended decreases. So yarn over, go behind the first one, pull up your loop. Go behind your second one, pull up your loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Do number 2. Okay. You should have this down pretty well by now. Let's do number 3 together. I'm going to do number 4. Skip over that chain space and go to the next cluster. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Let's do our 4th one. Or is this 5? This is 5, excuse me. I'm going to do number 6. And number 7. Okay. And then you'll start your repeat over again in that next chain 3 space, okay? So I'll meet you for the next round. All right, moving into row 10, we are going to wrap up the orange to get ourselves prepared for red by slip stitching 4 times. So 1, 2, yellow's getting in the way, 3, and 4. And go ahead and fasten off about 5 or 6 inches of your orange. And now we're going to switch to red. All right, so I've got my red here. I'm going to wrap it around my hook. I'm going to stick my hook in my chain 2 space. and I am going to be slip stitching through the chain space, the red loop on my hook, as well as the orange. Okay. I think I split my yarn. Just acting funny. So we're going to chain 1 to get started, and then we're going to place 3 single crochets to get our repeat started in this chain 2. So 1, 2, and 3. Now for this round, you are not going to be working on any of the single crochets from the previous round in orange. So we are going to be placing 3 extended front post double crochet decreases, and we are going to start by using the first 2 half double crochets of the 3 half double crochets here on this side. Okay, so yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Your second front post extended double crochet is going to be a half double crochet as your first post to wrap around, and then an extended double crochet as your second post. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over and pull through 2. Now your third one is going to be both posts that you're wrapping around are going to be extended double crochets from the previous round. So yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over and pull through 2. We're going to chain 1. Now we're going to skip this middle stitch here, and we're going to do the opposite by doing 3 front post double crochet decreases, with our first one having both posts that we wrap around being extended double crochets. Now we're going to do our second one with an extended double as our first post and a half double crochet as our second post. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over. And our third decrease is going to be both half double crochets, the second and third half double crochet over here. Okay, we're going to skip that single crochet, and we're going to start our repeat again. So you should have a total of 6 extended front post double crochets with a chain space in the middle of those 6. Okay, so let's do this repeat again together. There's going to be 3 single crochets in your chain 2 space. So 1, 2, and 3. You're going to skip this single crochet and use the first 2 half double crochets to put an extended front post double crochet decrease around. Okay, now your second extended double crochet front post decrease is going to have a half double crochet and a front post double crochet decrease as its second stitch. Shoot, I'm getting all confused with my wording, but you'll have the half double crochet as your first post and the decrease as your second post. Okay, so that makes number 2. We're going to do number 3 around 2 extended double crochet decreases. The wording is weird for this row, so I do apologize on that. You're going to chain 1. I've got 3 here. I'm going to skip this middle one. I'm going to pop over here, and I'm going to do 3 again of these front post double crochet extended decreases. Now our second one's going to be a decrease stitch and a half double crochet stitch as our 2 posts. I know it's super tight for this round. I do apologize. It gets easier. And our last stitch, which is the 6th one here for this repeat, is going to go around both half double crochets. So I hope that this made sense and that you can watch where I'm putting my hook and the stitches. But ultimately, each of your chain 2 spaces is going to have 3 single crochets. Then you're going to place 3 front post extended double crochet decreases with a chain space over top the center one that's in orange. Then you're going to place 3 front post extended double crochet decreases on the other side. So you're going to have a total of 6 here. Okay, so I'll put the stitch count down below, and if you have any comments or questions, go ahead and drop them down in the comments and I'll answer them as soon as possible. And I'll meet you for the next round.